Yeah, your video. Thank you, Linda. In the room, for just for clarity, if I could please ask everyone in the room just to introduce themselves for the sake of our online viewers this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Digby Race from University of the South Pacific here in Latala.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Iji. I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor in charge of research at Fiji National University. I'm here with the USP team and the ACIAR team at Lauderdale Bay.
How do you see? Oh, good. Hello, good morning. My name is Sushil Kumar. I am Director Research, and I'm happy to be the part of this collaborative workshop and wish that we get something really concrete to work on. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ketan Christie, and I'm Deputy Head of School of Sajan. And yeah, I'm here to also listen, and there will be a good collaboration of some of the agriculture-related the project works between USP and FNU. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is Dr. Ravinesh Ram, and I'm from Fiji National University.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jose Watalawa, and I'm the ACIAR Graduate Officer sitting in today.
Thank you. Could we just have a round of introduction from our online participants? Thank you.
We might start with ACIAR, if that's okay. So for those of you who joined a little bit later, my name is Kate Tenneman, and I'm Director of Capacity Development at ACIAR. I'll pass to Jason. Okay, we might move on to Varsha. We're having some microphone issues from Jason, but I hope you don't mind, Jason. I'll take the opportunity to introduce you on your behalf. This is Jason Valasaga. He's our Senior Program Officer at ACIAR based in Canberra, looking after our PASS program and our ACIAR alumni. Now I'll pass on to colleagues at FNU, and I'm going to start with Varsha because I can see your name first. Varsha, or are you?
Sorry, Varsha may be trying to join us here at Lauderdale.
Oh, right.
She was waiting for a lift from me, but I came straight from home.
Oh.
Yeah, she's the ACIAR and Scholarships Officer at FNU. Thank you.
Many thanks, Paul. All right, Linda, could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, good morning, everyone. My name's Linda West. I'm the Program Manager for the Academic Support Program provided by the University of the Sunshine Coast. Lovely to see everybody today.
Many thanks. I'll just keep going along my screen. We've got a Mary Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry. My name's Mary Johnson, RMIT University, but I've got a really bad cold at the moment, so I won't say very much at all.
I hope you're feeling okay, and thank you for dialing in when you've got a cold. Next on my list, I've got Dr. Sei.
Good morning and hello for everyone. My name is Sei. I'm joining in from Samoa. I'm the project leader for the ACIAR project on Pacific food loss. Happy to be here.
Many thanks. And the next person I see in my list is Kirsty O'Callaghan. And if I say people's names incorrectly, I do apologize right now. Please do correct me.
Hi, so my name's Kirsty O'Callaghan. I'm the PASS Admin and Com Support Officer working with Linda at the University of the Sunshine Coast.
Many thanks. And next is Shauna.
Oh, hi everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit late. So I'm Shauna Murray. I'm from UTS in Sydney, and I'm a project leader for a project about ACIAR PASS and ciguatera fish poisoning.
Thank you so very much for joining in. I've lost my list of people that I'm going through. So here we go. Phil Brown, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Bulavanaka. My name's Phil Brown. I'm from Central Queensland University, and hopefully I'll be about to start a new project looking at high-value vegetable production in Pacific countries. So it's great to be here.
Many thanks. Going along my line, I have Buriata Tafinga, and once again, please forgive me if I've mispronounced everyone's names.
That's fine. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nauri. Dr. Buriata Tafinga from the School of Business and Management at USB. So it's nice to meet everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I'd like to invite Iganusi. I've got the last part has disappeared. Iganusi Attojuneri.
Thank you. Good morning, all. My name is Egonsi Ismi Attojuneri from Fiji National University from the Department of Soil Science and Biosystems Engineering. I'm an assistant professor in the department. Thank you all.
Many thanks for joining. And now I've got Ashika Devi on my list.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashika Devi. I'm from Fiji National University from the Department of Animal Sciences. Nice to meet you all.
Many thanks. Archie.
Hello everyone, I'm Archibald Bakari from Department of Animal Science, Fiji National University.
And now, thank you, Archie. And now Tony.
Kia ora koutou, everyone. I'm Tony White. I'm from Plant and Food Research in New Zealand, and we currently work in Samoa looking at growing vegetables in the home and getting that nutrition into the homes.
Many thanks. And now Rob.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Rob McGavin. I'm with the Queensland Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, currently a project leader for a forestry and forest product focused project in Fiji. And hopefully before too long, we'll have another round of projects in Laos as well. Thank you.
Many thanks. Salote.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Salote. I will be with Talanoa Consulting as an in-country project leader with agribusiness for aquaculture and agriculture, particularly tilapia and beekeeping. Thanks.
Many thanks. And now Toani. I think Toani is potentially having some mic issues. If there's anyone that I've missed, please do feel free to write your name in the chat and a little bit about yourself from the university you're representing or a particular interest in agricultural research you do share, because we would love to capture that in the chat box. So once again, my name is Kate and I'm joining from Ngunnawal country here in Canberra, where I can still see some ice on the ground. Yes, sorry. Who's there?
Sorry to cut you in. I had introduced Vasha. Two more people walked in, and if they can introduce themselves, please.
Many thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Rajesh from Discipline of Marine Studies, USP.
Good morning again. I'm William Kerua with FNU, with the Agribusiness and Extension Department.
Welcome everyone to this meeting, and I'm so glad that so many people could join us from all over the Pacific and all over Australia as well for this meeting. We are very, very honoured and humbled that you've taken the time out of your busy schedules to come and have a discussion with us about what the future of our 2025 intake of Pacific Agricultural Scholarships could look like. So what we are aiming to do in this session is really start facilitating conversations, really bringing people together. ACIAR, in partnership with USP and FNU, have had a long process of discussing how we might be able to better align our different research themes that we would like to collaborate on and draw on our Pacific Agricultural Scholarships program to help us do that. I will go into a little bit of detail, or rather I'll pass to my colleague Linda on behalf of the University of the Sunshine Coast, who'll go into a little bit more detail about the PASS program. But for now, I just wanted to give you a bit more of a high-level introduction of our purpose today. So this is really starting to get the ball rolling and think about what our scholars could potentially study for the next intake of scholarships, which will start in 2025. And this is about bringing forward or surfacing ACIAR research priorities in the region, USP research priorities, and FNU research priorities, and coming together to have a little bit of a talanoa to discuss different ideas and hopefully narrow down a list of topics that our scholars can select for the next intake. Now, this is a bit of a pilot process. We haven't really ever had the opportunity to land on our topics in this sort of way. And so with that, I just wanted to sort of thank you for being with us on this journey and for your patience as we're figuring this all out. But it's really, as I say, an opportunity to make sure that we are coming together, that we're bringing all the right people in the room to have discussions about what's really needed in terms of key research gaps that we'd like to address and that we could potentially address through our program. It's also an opportunity for those project leaders who maybe don't have a scholar, who are thinking about having a scholar, to connect with others and talk through what it means to have a PASS scholar in your program. We also have some opportunities for those who maybe haven't had one before to highlight that they'd like to have a PASS scholar, and also maybe those who have had several PASS scholars can share some ideas about what they think is still a really good research theme or a really good research topic that would really support the landscape of the work that they're doing in their projects. So this is really just about us all kind of getting together, being quite transparent over what our priorities are for the region and seeing if we can collectively come together and create a list of really good topics for our scholars to study. Now, it's not going to be the only opportunity that we have to discuss these particular topics, and I would really encourage you to keep the conversations going. If there's someone who's said something that's very, very interesting, we'd love you to take that opportunity to connect and reach out to them one-on-one and further discuss your idea. We are looking to have a final list of research topics sort of finalized, or at least a good solid draft by the end of July. So we do have a little bit of time to go back and forth. And with that as well, we'd like to ask everyone if it's okay if we share email addresses too, so that you can continue to have these conversations as we go offline. Now, we also will have a secondary session on this as well. So once again, if we feel like there's not quite enough time to go into all the details, then what we can do is come back to it at our secondary session, that's just going to be held at the exact same time on Thursday, but this will be all online. So there's more opportunities to discuss ideas. And like I say, we'll facilitate these two sessions, but it doesn't mean that the conversation ends there. We really, really want to get everybody connected, thinking about what would be really, really useful research topics that really kind of meets ACIAR, USP, and FNU. And is there any opportunities where we can think of topics that actually brings us all together collectively across universities too? So Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your willingness to sort of support us as we pilot a new initiative to really refine some research topics. And thank you also for your time today as we have a bit more of a broader discussion on what could be some really interesting topics for PASS 2025. And with that, I'm going to pass to Linda to give a quick overview of the PASS program for some of you who may not be so familiar with it.
Thank you very much, Kate. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the scholarship program is practically. So both USP and FNU have offered in the past Masters by Research and PhDs, and potentially that will be the same for 2025. Additionally, Fiji National University offer a Masters by Coursework, which is a 50-50 offering of coursework and research. Included in the scholarship is also tuition fees are paid directly by the ACIAR program, and there's a stipend offered to successful applicants in the scholarship. There's also a very generous research grant provided through ACIAR at the slightly different values between USP and FNU, and obviously all those details will be provided by the respective universities. So the 2025 scholarships will align with the USP and FNU academic calendars. Both universities have slightly different dates, and potentially USP may start a little bit earlier next year. And obviously the policies and procedures for candidature progression are slightly different at both universities. So FNU offer a traditional confirmation of candidature process, and USP have a research proposal approval through an academic unit research committee. So candidature is followed by both universities, making sure that students are progressing well. A master's is typically 2 years duration, and a PhD typically 3 years. Obviously, there can be extensions requested at times due to extenuating circumstances. If you could have the next slide, please, Joe. So really, I wanted to talk a little bit about the critical role of supervisors in this whole process. Everybody, our distinguished guests in the room who have been through a PhD themselves and have supervised many students will know how critical the role of the supervisors is. And to have a really strong supervisory team is incredibly important in this journey. It can be quite a lonely journey as a PhD or a master's student, particularly if you've come from a postgraduate diploma or directly from undergraduate. It can be quite a leap jumping into a research degree, a higher degree by research. So supervisors are incredibly important, and having a strong team who work really well together is important too. So in this scholarship program, there is the principal supervisor is based at USP or FNU, and USP in Fiji and USP in Samoa too. And the co-supervisor is typically from the ACIAR project team or the project leader themselves. Or I think in this round for 2025, there could be some international researchers who may not be part of the ACIAR project team, but may have particular expertise in the field that the research theme or topic aligns to. So the role of the supervisor is a normal role that you would have regular meetings to discuss the research with the student, the supervisor, and the co-supervisor, and also to review writing, provide feedback as normal. But also as part of the program, they run a monthly progress meeting with supervisors, the student, and the graduate officers from both FNU and USP. And this is just to keep track of how students are progressing, whether the students have any issues or there's any opportunities that they want to share. And it's a really good opportunity for the student, but also for the supervisors to maintain that relationship and to check in, and also for the graduate officers to really keep track of what's happening in the candidature. So really today is all about supervisors and building that relationship between the supervisor and the co-supervisor. If you don't already have a particular partner in mind, this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to meet very briefly in this session, but then again to meet on Thursday if you're available to further discuss, potentially in some Zoom breakout rooms, in a smaller setting where you could talk with someone who has similar expertise or research interests to yourself. So I also have created a Padlet wall where you could post, similar to the chat function here, where you could post about your research. And if you're willing to share your contact details, you could pop them in there too. And I think Joe is going to share that a little bit later. And you can write about yourself, what you're interested in, and then we can share the wall at the end and everyone can see the expertise that's out there. So really looking forward to see what comes from today. Obviously, FNU and USP will share details of the scholarship procedures and policies at their particular universities as we progress through the selection process. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Linda, and we'll pop that link in the chat box when it's available. Now I'd like to pass to our colleagues at FNU to share some of their research priorities and potential topics for the next intake.
Good morning, colleagues. It's good to be able to present this to everyone. Again, some of you may be seeing this for the second or third time, but some for the first time. There haven't been much changes apart from tweaks here and there, and some housekeeping, a housekeeping slide that I thought I should drop in. And so when you look at our priority areas, it seems to be rather crowded, but that is because of the kind of profile the college has. We have 3 large colleges in one, so to speak, 3 large disciplines: agriculture, fisheries, and forestry. Veterinary science is falling off, but animal health still remains. So that is still captured as part of animal science. So we have a good profile of early career and mid-career researchers who are very experienced. I think there were some restrictions in promotions in the early years of the university, which tends to have a lopsided, created the lopsided nature of our staff profile. Otherwise, there are staff that have many, many years of postdoctoral experience, but they are still assistant professors or just recently promoted to associate professors. So we do have areas of interest and capacity in agriculture ranging across the profile from soil science through agribusiness to animal and crop sciences, horticulture and animal health, like I've said, like crop and plant protection, including entomology. Then in the area of fisheries, we have capacity in aquaculture. We don't currently have a deep capacity in the deep sea fishing area, but that is something the Fiji government wants us to get involved with. So we will be looking at recruitment eventually to cater for that. And we'll be happy to collaborate with our partners here in the Pacific to do that. Then the blue economy is also another area that we want to look at. No. Forestry, yes, we have been sort of seesawing in terms of capacity in the forestry area. When I came, we were quite strong there, but staff attrition has led us to some reduction in numbers, which we intend to fill up. But we are interested in agroforestry, timber production. Forestry in Fiji is largely focused on timber production. We want to diversify that into other areas, including agroforestry, things, alternative timbers like bamboo, management of native forests, medicinal plants, and carbon marketing, which is picking up as part of the overall climate change area. So we are interested in doing that. Then we have environmental science and climate change resilience. And we have kept stating that we are into climate change resilience because USP has, over the years, done a lot of work on climate change science. So we are sort of complementing that side, and USP is part of the climate change resilience network of the Association of Commonwealth Universities. So resilience is our focus rather than the science. We are also looking at gender and indigenous issues in agriculture because this is a very old country and a very old region. So we want to, they know a lot. Some of the traditional things we want to keep and try to improve on. So again, very crowded. All our researchers are keen to work, and I'm happy about that. So I'm not going to run through each of these topics, but we have very strong people with topics in agriculture. William Kerua is here with us in the room. Roy Ford has already graduated. Is it 2 ACIAR students already? The first on the board. So he has already graduated and is very effective in supervision in animal health. Then we have the animal science team who are keen to get on board. Archibald, our postgraduate, ACIAR postgraduate coordinator, is quite active, and he has his companions, Puasa and Ashika. Archibald too has graduated, I think, 2 or 3 postgraduate students already, so he's quite experienced. In crop science and horticulture, we have Hedesh, Dr. Sachan, and Dr. Elisoni. They are supervising students, not ACIAR students, but they are keen to have some ACIAR students too. Okay, next one. Dr. Atujundere is a recent, one of our new staff, not too new again. He's in biosystems engineering. That is the new name for agric engineering. He's also keen to come in there in several areas of agric engineering combined with crop science and climate change, which is why I think he would need co-supervision from teams in soil and crop science or sciences. Shalini is not new. She's a fisheries person. We have Ravinesh, her research partner here in the room with us, Dr. Ravinesh Ram, and both of them are into aquaculture. I think may have actually made the mistake. Shalini did a lot more of marine studies for her PhD. And so she's capable of taking on deep sea fishing, I can see, and the blue economy. Then Shipra is also an old hand in forestry, one of our leading researcher right now in forestry. She's very keen on agroforestry, working with the dean, Dr. Ravi Wasa. They want to look at nectar and pollen toxicity of African tulip. I think this tree has a very bad name now. I'm so sorry that it carries the name of Africa, but it's okay. We are going to try to make use of it one way or the other. Dr. Maria Fongawa, the Associate Dean in charge of research, is interested in gender and indigenous issues in agriculture. Just like I say, we are quite keen to develop that area. Now, when you look at our plans, you have kept saying it's very, very crowded. So we have a number of constraints, but we have ways of ameliorating them. Staff workload management, having graduated close to 40 students myself, I have a lot to share with our supervisors. And one of the best advice I can give to them is to stagger their student uptake and enrollment. At a point, I had 12 PhD students. They still talk about it at UNE, but they never started at the same time. So I just had the plan to be able to graduate at least 2 students every year. So that is one thing I have to point and teach our staff to do. And also to do team supervision so that you have somebody who is looking at both of you or 3 of you are looking at different students unequally at the same time. If a supervisor is looking at 4 or 5 students and you are doing it 100%, I think you will not be able to do it. You will burn out. So that is one way to deal with the workload, large supervisory workload. Then a supervisor experience, some of our staff, as I pointed out from the beginning, are still early career researchers or at best mid-career researchers. But the FNU postgraduate policy is quite flexible on this. We can appoint mid-career researchers as principal supervisors, provided they are supported by an experienced academic. We also have a very large pool of adjunct appointees, starting with the appointment of our UNSC partner, Steve, I think, was the first adjunct professor that I appointed when I got here in 2018. And we now have a very, very large, very deep pool of that across the world, not just from Australia and New Zealand, but from Asia, Africa, North America, Europe, everywhere we have these adjuncts, and they are allowed to supervise. Rob is one of them. Professor Dr. McGavin is one of them, and we are not trying to steal Digby. He's sitting there to my right. I think he's happy to assist some of our students in a complementary way. He's also an adjunct with FNU. And we also have a new policy, or it's not new, it was there when we finalized the adjunct policy, that we can let an adjunct be the principal supervisor, and if the adjunct so wishes, we will pay for that. I think it's about 5,000 Fijian dollars. Not too big for somebody coming from Australia, but I do know that the adjuncts we appoint from Australia may not actually even wish to have a payment. So these are some of the ways I think we can deal with managing the load, and we are happy to collaborate with USP and with any other person across in the region and internationally. Thank you.
Many thanks for sharing that, Professor Paul, and we really do appreciate you highlighting the particular opportunities and constraints at FNU as well, because that's immensely useful for figuring out who or where is even best to go in terms of different topics. So thank you very much. I'd now like to pass on to, I believe it's Professor Digby, who'll be sharing them from USP.
Thank you very much, Kate, and once again, Bulla and Talofa. Good morning, colleagues, both here and afar, online and in country. My privilege to present to you as a follow-up to complement Paul's overview of the research themes and opportunities for supervisors as we see it at USP. Before I get started, I want to acknowledge ACIAR and Kate and her team, and also the University of the Sunshine Coast, Linda and her team there, very close partners, and FNU, Paul and his broad and deep academic and professional team, and also our other university and industry partners in Australia and New Zealand joining us this morning, and my colleagues, of course, from across USP. Wonderful to have you all joining us. So we've spent several iterations of workshops and discussions talking about the proposed research themes for 2025 scholars under this scholarship. And I think, Kate, you've been far too modest at ACIAR about this scholarship program. I think it's a fabulous scholarship program. It really is one of the best in the Pacific region and beyond. And I'll go through why I think that's the case. But let me just start with the research themes that we're putting on the table at USP. Firstly, very complementary to what Paul's raised from FNU. So I think we can learn a lot from the traditional knowledge and practices that in agriculture, fisheries and forestries across the Pacific region, and think about how these may inform or translate into modern approaches. So we see that as a really key theme to get started with. The second one is about resilience, being to do with our food systems, and they're both agriculture and fisheries and allied systems there. So how do we create productive, robust, sustainable food systems that resilient not just to the severe impacts of climate change, but also to economic shocks, environmental degradation, and some social stresses such as demographic change. Our next theme is optimizing agribusiness, commercialization, entrepreneurship, and value chain. So very much moving from product into that commercial process there. We want much more detailed analysis of the constraints and opportunities of how to build better businesses across a wide range of rural industries, food products, forest products, fish products. And lastly, the fourth big overarching theme is how do we design sustainable soil and water systems? We know that soil and water are critical resources, inland, freshwater, and marine. How do we safeguard those with the increasing demands that we're facing across the Pacific region? So they're our four big research themes. And then we're at this point of thinking, okay, how do these translate into much more specific or precise topics? And here's just some examples, very high level at this stage, but what analysis and projections can we make for climate change impacts? The second one might involve topics related to economic modeling and policy analysis, again, across agriculture, fisheries, forestry. Third might relate to topics involved with identifying factors for resilient and sustainable systems, understanding land and forest dynamics, analysing what the drivers of sustainable fisheries are, and the elements of productive agriculture, and what might be the requirements for healthy livestock production. And lastly, topics that relate to the management for abundant, prosperous, sustainable cropping. Now historically, I think ACIAR PASS scholars have been in our School of Agriculture, Geography, Environment, Ocean and Natural Sciences, and our at PACE SD. So I think there's an opportunity for us to reach more broadly across the different schools at USP, and therefore enrich the palette of topics that scholars might undertake, and also broaden the number of academics that are directly involved in the scholars' research. And so I've just posed these as potential schools that might have academic interests in the topics that we're proposing for next year. So learning from traditional knowledge and practices. I know, for example, we've got great academic scholars in our School of Law and Social Sciences. Dr. Margaret Mishra is the Deputy Head of School and the lead contact for postgraduate affairs. And also we have scholars already from the Solomon Islands, I know of, working on traditional food systems in the Solomon Islands, working in the School of Pacific Arts, Communication and Education. Space is the acronym there. So Professor Sulendra's the recently appointed Deputy Head of School in charge of research and postgraduate affairs there. Moving on to the theme of optimising agribusiness commercialisation, entrepreneurship and value chains. An obvious school for me is the School of Business and Management, where I have academic interest, but also Dr. Subhash Appana is our Deputy Head of School, and Dr. Joelle Varo is the Discipline Coordinator for Land Management. Of course, St. John's, one of our biggest schools, and certainly our most important in terms of ACIAR PASS scholarships. And Dr. Kadir leads the team in Samoa, and Dr. Tamara, for example, is a very prominent and active supervisor here at Lathala, but we've got many others in that school. One of our smaller schools, but equally important in terms of the commercialisation and entrepreneurship economic analysis, is SAFE, and Dr. Rup Singh is the acting head of school there. Our other two big themes that we've put up today is building resilient food systems. And again, St. John's, no surprise that they have a lot of academic interest and expertise in this area, together with PACE SD, our research scholars at Marine Campus. And our fourth big theme, designing sustainable soil and water systems. And that School of St. John's and PACE SD are obvious homes for our academic scholars in that respect. I just want to touch on the benefits for supervisors to become actively involved in the ACIAR PASS scholarship program, and we have additional funds for supervisors to travel to their Australian, New Zealand partners, whether university or industry and government. That's really valuable and can be taken at their discretion. There's great opportunities for professional development, learning with and exchanging, collaborating with our Australian, New Zealand partners, whether they be in industry or government or universities. I think that's a really exciting benefit for our supervisors here. An example of that has been the Future Thinkers Award that has been offered this year, and I think to great benefit for 3 of our academics at USP this year. We've got additional travel funds set aside for supervisors to collaborate with their Australian partners, and ideally that would be at the same opportunity for scholars to interact as a team, face-to-face and in-country, in-field. The fabulous and regular interaction that supervisory teams and scholars have that Linda outlined before, I think that's a really important way of building those close, trusted relationships throughout the Pacific and with Australia, New Zealand partners. And one example of that is the monthly updates. And I think that's really important in terms of keeping scholars and supervisors deeply engaged and up to date with what is happening with individual research projects. We know the close cohort that's been formed by the ACIAR PASS scholars is really peer-to-peer learning, particularly as scholars move beyond their first or introductory year. They really become a source of advice and support for new and upcoming scholars. And lastly, there's an opportunity for our academics to develop the experience about leading an ACIAR project. And I think that really opens up their career opportunities as well. We know all these benefits in combination lead to a really high completion rate. Joe and I have done some analysis of recent data, and that, for us, that's over 70%. So that is very comparable to some of the research-intensive universities in Australia. So we know that this whole package that's been put and supported by ACIAR really does make a difference. So I think the incentive for supervisors is if you're actively involved with scholars in this program, they're going to complete on time, they're going to be very successful researchers, and you're going to be associated closely with their positive outcomes. Thank you very much. That's all from USP. We haven't got the detailed topics at this stage that Paul kindly shared from FNU, but this is where we want to progress this morning and in coming weeks. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Digby. It's been fantastic to hear some of the insights from USP and the areas that you're looking to pursue and refine a little bit more for your topics for the 2025 intake. I just would encourage you to use the link to the Padlet wall that Linda has put up, because there's some great little summations of people's interest and research areas that they're doing, and we'll have this as a resource available to us to continue on as we go. Now, we do have some time set aside in our program to have a bit more of a sort of open floor discussion. So I do have on that Padlet wall, I've put up some of ACIAR's broad brushstroke research themes as well for your view. And I also am adding the full list of the ACIAR research projects that are currently in the Pacific as well. So you'll have that as a reference point too. But what we've really found is there's a lot of alignment in what we're trying to achieve here. And it's just a matter of really drawing on the expertise that we have at USP and FNU to make sure that we've got a very, very targeted, very relevant topic for study for our scholars. And as Digby was saying, a very complementary and supportive environment around our scholars so that they have the best possible research experience that they can at these universities. So yes, as I said, we do have a little bit of time here to have a bit more of an open floor discussion. So I would just like now to turn to anyone in the room or who's joining us either online or physically in the room and at USP, if there was any questions or additional comments that you wanted to raise from that discussion or the presentations we've heard so far.
Thank you, Kate, and thanks so much for that presentation, Digby. I think we have, though we have put FNU have put up their detailed list. This is not closing the door to whatever else is coming from project leaders in Australia. What we have just decided to do is to tell our partners in Australia what our researchers think is important for the region, for the country, and that they have the capacity to deal with, and it's of very strong interest to them. So our list is available for partners to look at, for collaborators, potential collaborators to look at, and then reach out to FNU to say, yes, I think I can join the team in supervising on this topic. So that is why we have chosen to do this. We are quite open to, as I have said, to look at any list and the research teams that are available from ACIAR itself and our supervisors. I think I'm not sure whether Linda will be working on such a list as in the past years.
Yes.
So that, okay, thank you, Linda. So that we can then drop in names. And I think one way or the other, some of the topics may align with what our staff have proposed, or there will be an opportunity to merge some of the topics that are there from ACIAR with our own topics. What I've guided the staff here to do is to develop a topic that is at least PhD value, that can sustain a PhD project, or at the very least, that is at the very least, but a combination of PhD and masters or a few masters project. Staff should learn to grow in that way, because once you start a research area, then it should be a team rather than a project. And that is why I think it's important that we share these topics with you. Thank you.
Many thanks, Professor. And we'll get that list of the projects to you as well. And when we start putting these all together for the applications to open, and I do need to reiterate, or rather mention that I forgot to mention earlier, that we're looking to open the applications around August, beginning of August, and then we'll have them open for about 3 months. So we'll also have some time whilst the applications are open for people to help continue to have conversations in the side, and potential scholars can reach out to supervisors as well and have a bit of a discussion. But it's really great to start highlighting at the very, very beginning where we have really good supervisors in particular topics at both FNU and USP, and bringing together ACIAR themes, USP themes, and FNU themes together to have a really, really targeted research program. So thank you very much. And we'll make sure out of all of this, we're sharing all of that. And also the Padlet wall, because people have been writing great summaries of some of the work that they've been doing too. So I'll put the link in the chat again. And once again, I invite you to add your own. Now, were there any other questions? Linda, can you see anything coming through the chat?
No, I can't see anything in the chat box. I'm just wondering if there's anybody either online or in the room who has potentially had early discussions on having a supervisor, co-supervisor relationship already and want to share, or how they've gone about their discussion, or if they've had preliminary discussions, anyone? Or anybody new to the program who wants to ask a question, a practical question about the program? Gosh, everyone's shy today.
Okay, Linda, do you mind if...
Please go ahead, Professor.
Yes, so my personal view is I really like cohesive supervisory teams.
Absolutely.
For a PhD, I really want to see 3 academic supervisors. Of course, we'll have a principal supervisor, but I really want a team. I think
Yes.
that helps build the resilience for scholars, and it broadens the academic input and support they get. So
Absolutely.
I can only speak for my school when we're reviewing our PhD scholars and their research proposals. We're looking to see 3 academics. They don't necessarily all have to be from USP. We really love the opportunity to have co-supervisors from Australian, New Zealand universities, FNU and the like. They could be from industry, could be from government, so there's no problems there. But I really want to see 3 for a PhD scholar, and for a master's 2 academic supervisors. I think, we're really wary of people just having 1 supervisor. I don't think it's healthy academically, and it's a big risk for scholars and institutions. So that's what I look for at our school level. When people submit their expression of interest or research intent, that can be quite short and pithy, succinct. In a way, it doesn't have to be particularly definitive, but when they get enrolled and start their scholarship, then their first major task is to develop their research proposal, which is a substantive written document here, and that may take a semester and a bit longer for a full-time scholar on a PhD. Professor Sushil, can I turn to you to add some comments about your experience of supervision and what you're looking for in supervisory arrangements?
Thank you, Digby. I think what you have said is very consistent with our supervision policy, which says that for every student, whether master's or PhD, The minimum requirement is a principal supervisor and a co-supervisor. Then we have a provision for the supervisory panel where there can be more than one co-supervisor. And that has been kept primarily from the PhD students' point of view, and where we will have about at least about three supervisors, one supervisor and then two co-supervisors. My suggestion here will be when we advertise for these positions, if we could mention it, that for masters, we would prefer this kind of supervision, and for PhD as well, so that students right from beginning know what will be the supervisory team, and then accordingly they can approach the potential supervisors. Thank you very much. Kader has been trying to join from somehow, but and there's some technical issue. He's not able to do it. Probably we might send him, if there is a recording of the meeting, maybe we can send a link to him.
Of course.
I'm sure that whatever has been presented will be shared with all of us. It will be shared with the Kader also, so you can see it. All right, thank you all very much. I think it has been a very productive discussion and presentations. Thank you.
Can I just add a few words to in support of my colleagues from FAU? I think that is about the same policy we have in at USP. That is about the same policy we have on supervision at FAU. You have to have at least a minimum of 2 supervisors. Having one supervisor just goes to say the student is not going to learn enough. It's like having 2 parents. I'm not against anything about single parenthood. Don't get me wrong on that. But there's one hard person and one soft person that works very well with supervisors. I have seen, as a postgraduate coordinator of a very large school, I saw that supervisors who would make the students cry, and the other supervisor or supervisors who would calm them down. So I think it's always good to have that kind of partnership. And 2 supervisors are a risk of some kind, because once one of them drops off, then you are just left with 1. But 3 is the maximum that I would suggest or recommend to any team. Because again, looking back at my experience coordinating the whole school of about 100 and something PhD and master students, my biggest problem why I refused to continue in that role was it became more difficult to manage the supervisors, conflict between the supervisors. And then so there was always that academics are very difficult, very rigid people. So once they said this is my stand, it's so difficult. So the more supervisors you have, the more difficult it is. So I don't suggest anybody have a team of more than 3. It's not healthy. And then in addition, what you have, when reading students, something for my USP colleagues and even the international colleagues to be aware of, never let the team, all members of the team, read a document at the same time. You will create a lot of confusion for the student. So read in tandem. One finishes, the student corrects, then hand it over to the next person. The conflict always arises when 3 supervisors read the same document. The one says this is an excellent section, and the other one says, what kind of rubbish is this? Then the student is already in the deep sea. They will never get out of that mess, the quarrel between the supervisors. I'll just stop at that, but we do have workshops that we can share as we progress in this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you made a very good comment, and we have seen in a couple of cases in our faculty when we had 4 or 5 supervisors. Well, that was actually one of the main supervisor wanted that kind of supervisory team, and then they had similar kind of conflict. The idea in which case in those cases works that the student first gives the things to read to the principal supervisor and then moves accordingly. But then if those issues come, then we will have to talk to the team.
Many thanks for sharing your reflection. Sorry, Digby, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're a little bit small on my screen, so I can't see if you're leaning forward to speak. Go ahead, please.
That's right. Apologies for the smallness. But I think something really exciting we haven't mentioned this morning is the opportunity for Kotatel PhD programs with Australian universities. And we have a number of Kotatel or joint PhD where scholars who are highly motivated and organised can qualify with 2 PhD certificates from 2 universities. And I think we have that with over half a dozen universities around the world, but none that I'm aware of in the ACIAR PASS scholarship program that I'm aware of at the moment. So I think that could be a really exciting addition to put on the table for those where it suits, and we've got strong support and endorsement from Australian and USP academics. Then part of my role as the Dean of the Graduate School is to help make that happen, facilitate that process. But I know for exceptional candidates that are highly motivated, they've got the support at both universities, that can be a really exciting opportunity for them. And the second thing I'd like to emphasise is that this PASS scholarship is really generous in both time and support, but also the financial opportunities for the scholars and the academic supervisors. So to me, it is absolutely one of the best scholarship programs to become actively involved in.
Thank you. Thank you, Digby. I'd like to invite Dr. Kadir from USP in Samoa to share some of the his reflections of being a supervisor. I believe he had some issues connecting, but hopefully he can connect now. Dr. Kadir, are you okay to speak at the moment?
Yeah, thank you, Kate, and all my colleagues. Yeah, after a long time, I joined to such meeting. I was on annual leave. Yeah, but last week I started. Yes, already my colleagues, they shared about the experience in supervision. Yeah, okay. I have also the same. Yeah, normally for masters, okay, 2 supervisor, but how I practice 3 supervisor. One, okay, USP principal supervisor, one from Australia, and I always add a co-supervisor, particularly junior staff. This is a little bit training for them. Yeah, so for masters, I always prepare to make 3 supervisor in ACIAR project, but for other, normally 2. One colleague I always add in the supervision team for developing them as a co-supervisor, that in future they will be supervisors. And also the same procedure I follow. Okay, one, yeah, if there is 2 or 3 supervisor, then when correction, one supervisor finish the correction, then the other one, not at the same time 3 supervisor or 2 supervisor correct the same thing, because then a student become always confused. Yeah, because sometimes different supervisor has different view, and they give different types of corrections, so student become confused. So normally I always prepare one after another corrections to make it clear to the student and to avoid the conflict between the supervisors. Yeah, thank you. So this is all about my experience and just little sharing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kadir, and I'm glad you could join us. I know you had some issues connecting earlier, but it's good to see you again. Can I pass to Linda?
Yes, we do have a question in the chat from Salote. Salote is asking if FNU and USP offer postgraduate services to PhD and master's students to ensure completion, and what are they? Apart from the supervisors, does the ACIAR PASS CR alumni network also play a role? Perhaps I could pass that to Professor Iji or to Professor Digby.
Okay. What was the question? I saw the comment, but about
yes, sorry.
services.
Yes, Salote
offered.
is asking support for postgraduate students to ensure completion, and if the ACIAR alumni also play a role, the network of alumni in the Pacific. I'm assuming Salote.
I don't think the Alumni Association plays a direct role, even though we do have them at FNU and also at USP. So they do interact with the scholars, and some of them are supervisors themselves. William Kerua is an ACIAR alumnus. Dr. Maria Fong is an alumna. So we do have them, but although the Alumni Association hosts its meetings, I'm not sure they have ever met with ACIAR students while they are still scholars. So I may be wrong, but both of them are here in this meeting, so they can add a voice to that. But we do have enormous support, both coming from the University of the Sunshine Coast, and some of the things we also offer in-house. We now have a Center for Graduate Studies, which covers everybody, including ACIAR students, but I've made the point to have an additional layer of support for ACIAR students, because that is the one reason the ACIAR are paying our postgraduate coordinator, Archie. So I've also joined him and the Associate Dean Research and the rest of the team to ensure that I give them my personal experience with regards to supervision. That is what we have. But William and Maria are here. Does the Alumni Association do anything for the students? William?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I am actually the alumni back in Papua New Guinea, so I have a strong connection back in PNG, not in Fiji, but I think Maria, if she can probably allude on that, and I'm not currently active here in Fiji, so I think that's an area that we can discuss and explore further. And that's a great area that we have not actually utilized that. With sorry, we can relook at that with ACIAR Fiji and try to activate that, or if sorry can add a little bit on that. But actually, I'm active in PNG and not here because I moved over here. Thank you.
Dr. Fong.
Yes, a few years ago, we had a few meetings with the ACE, and then we had actually put together the ACIAR alumni. But I think for the last 2 years, there's nothing that have come through in terms of assistance for students. But at one time, ACIAR alumni was represented in the selection committee of the PASS scholarship at USP and FNU. Yeah, I think for now, that's just how alumni have been engaged in the scholarship.
Okay, if I can add something from USP, we provide support in a variety of ways, Salote. We have structured sort of monthly workshops, training seminars coordinated by Joe and supported by the ACIAR program, but also at school levels. And, you know, there's regular seminars, training workshops provided at the school level. We also provide occasional events through our research office with Professor Sushil and colleagues there. So we don't like to be excluding of people depending on their scholarship program, but often ACIAR will take the lead because of the generous support available. But really, we want all postgraduates to get involved in a variety of ways and form their own community of scholars. And that may be within your discipline, within your school, but also typically across the university and with our university partners, such as at FNU and in Australia and New Zealand. So really don't see ACIAR as just being the sole source of providing that academic support.
If I could just make a comment about the strength of the partnership between USP and FNU, and also the strength of the relationship that the ACIAR PASS CR scholars have. They're a really tight community and incredibly supportive of each other. They're like a family. They think of each other as a family, and those connections will go on into the future once they've graduated. And it's incredible to watch the support that they provide each other and experience and opportunities that they share with each other. Not just promoting themselves, but also promoting each other through this scholarship and into the future too.
Thank you, Kate. And yeah, this is Ketan from USP. Yeah, I just want to share the good practice that Joe is keeping us all the time on toes, especially with the monthly update. And yeah, it's excellent exercise. Every month we are doing. I'm also supervising one student, and yeah, the student and the co-supervisor is from Canberra. So we are all the time meeting and talking the update from the student, and because the student is working in the field, and it's very hard to get the student feedback face to face. So this is good practice, and I also request the research office to do the similar kind of thing for the USP student. Okay, another thing that last month I was in Rockhampton, Central Queensland University, and there I attended the BEEF 1024 workshop. So BEEF, yeah, it was on the BEEF itself, and it was a very big one. Yeah, there was a show too. So myself and Dr. Poasa, yeah, we went there, and we expressed our interest that we want to work on something on the meat, especially because there's no work at all happening on the meat biology or meat hygiene or meat microbiology. So there are a lot of things to work on, and yeah, we'll come up with some kind of the project with Dr. Poasa. Thank you.
Many thanks, everyone, for sharing those reflections. I can't see any broader questions coming through the chat box around the topics or the research themes in general. But once again, I would just like to reiterate the importance of this being an ongoing conversation. Obviously, in terms of our next steps, we're looking to refine this as a list to have it ready to go for when our applications open in August. But if we have a broad agreement on themes and some really clear topics and we highlight where we can have supervisors at each university, I think we're in a really, really good position to start having those conversations. So I just really wanted to thank again FNU and USP for sharing what your priorities are and where are the strengths and the opportunities, and potentially where are some of your constraints for wanting to look at hosting scholars or wanting to look at a particular research topic. So this is really about what this session is to uncover all of these things, to facilitate conversations and to really narrow down and be quite focused in what we can study in the future or what we can offer scholars in the future. I'm very, very proud of this program. I'm immensely grateful to the wonderful work of USP FNU and of course University of the Sunshine Coast for being such wonderful support for our scholars and our universities. And I'm really excited about the future direction of where PASS can go to be really responsive to the priorities that are happening and emerging in the Pacific, and really, as I said before, drawing on the strengths of FNU and USP and your interest and where you'd really like to explore and take your research further. So I would just like to once again advertise that the Padlet wall is available to you. There's our links to our current research projects in the Pacific up there. There's also links to a little bit more about the PASS program. So you can read a little bit about the different elements and components of PASS that's offered to support the scholars. And then we also do have some people sharing their research and their ideas where they're really wanting to explore a bit more and potentially make collaborations. Now we will, as this meeting's wrapping up, because I know we said about 10:30 or sorry, 11:30 in Pacific time to finish up. So I just wanted to say that we will share out the recordings. We can also share out any email addresses so that you can continue to have the conversations and reach out to supervisors. And we'll start collating that list of shared research themes and topics that we're starting to narrow down. And we will, of course, have another opportunity on Thursday to describe in more detail. I think there's one more question in the room, so I might just quickly pass to the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. I just have one question. It's good to hear that the advertisement or call will be in August. In the previous applicants, PNG has not been one of those countries involved in this PASS program, and I'm not sure if 2025 would PNG be included, or if not, then why Papua New Guinea is not in this PASS scholarship?
Thank you, William. We very much want to incorporate PNG into the PASS program more broadly and open it up. But what we're doing and finding in PNG is that we're in the middle of setting up new development partner priority plans. A government, an Australian government terminology to really uncover development priorities for the next 5 to 10 years in PNG. And we have a bunch of new emerging issues that are, or new topics and new ways of working in PNG. So we very much want to take PASS to PNG and open it out more broadly. But at the moment, because there's these broader development priorities and plans in place, we haven't had the opportunity to move in there yet. But we're really keen on making sure that we've got a very, very good model that we could potentially pick up and take to the Pacific when we're ready to do so. So I completely note your interest, and I don't want to shut PNG out of the PASS program at all, but it's not really the right time for ACIAR to be able to move into PNG right now. But we definitely want to explore it and see if there's a future option to do so. And sessions such as this really help support us make sure that we've got a really good model that we can offer for PNG. I'm happy to chat more offline if you'd like, William, as well. So just shoot me an email and we're able to have a bit more of a conversation. Linda.
I can see that Shailendra Singh, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation and the opportunity. I came late because of a clash with another meeting. I should introduce myself. I'm the Deputy Head of School, Education, Communications, and Literature. We are in the business of, writing news, producing news, telling stories, visual arts, expressive arts, and so forth. I'm not sure where we fit in as far as this project is concerned, so I was listening quietly, trying to see where there might be opportunities. I missed most of the meeting, unfortunately, but there's going to be another session on Thursday, and he will also share the recording. So there might be something in it for us. I have no idea, but I'll definitely share it with the colleagues from our school. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of the project leaders want to say anything or to make a comment?
Yeah, Linda.
Hello.
Hi, yeah, so Shauna Murray from the University of Technology, Sydney, and hello to everyone. So I guess my comment was more in the line of there's nothing particularly that I noticed in the project list regarding reef fisheries, and not very much regarding fisheries in general, but just in case you have colleagues who have an interest in that area, we have an ACIAR project just beginning in that area. So it would be great if we could partner with somebody.
That's really good news. I know we've got a minute, Kate, left. If anybody else wants to make a comment, I'd also quite like to capture a screenshot of everyone, if possible. If Joe could stop sharing for a second, and if people are happy to turn on their camera, obviously. Oh, that's much nicer. See people's smiling faces. Kirsty, are you happy to capture? Oh, wow, look at that. It's wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and with that, I might just reiterate some next steps from us. We'll arrange another, we've also got this session on Thursday, rather same time, where we can go into the topics in a little bit more detail in case we don't have the opportunity to discuss it in this forum. We'll send out the list of people who've registered and been interested in email so you can connect with supervisors too in the presentations. And we'll continue with that Padlet wall as well in case you want to continue to add some different ideas. But I just wanted to thank you all once again for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your interest and your love and enthusiasm for the PASS program. It's very much appreciated. And collectively, we're really looking forward to opening up the 2025 round with some really great topics that reflect the priorities in the region and the strengths of USP and FNU and ACIAR coming together. So thank you so much for everyone for your time. Thank you to UniSC for organising these sessions, and hopefully we'll see some of you on Thursday. I hope you have a good day, everyone. Speak soon.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank
Bye.
you. Banaka. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for
Bye, Dr.
joining.
Kedar.